Gurkha, 130th Reserve. Hey everybody, I'm okay, and this is Cigar Blog. So check this out. The Gurkha 130th Anniversary Reserve is, well, pretty much a cigar celebrating 130 years of Gurkha. And as you can see, this one is in tubos, which means it comes in its own specially wax-sealed little tube. Now, this is something I don't usually do. Typically when I get a cigar in, I will let it sit in the humidor for like a week so it acclimates. This is a special case because every time you get something that's in tubos like this, in a tube, especially when it's sealed with wax, it's basically in its own sealed environment. So yeah, I just got this yesterday, and it should be good to go, because it doesn't matter if I stick it in a humidor, on a shelf, or in the back of my garage, it'll still be just fine. Because, I think I said this before, it's actually in its own self-contained little environment, so everything is in the ideal condition. Now let's see if I can get this out of here without destroying the crap out of it and driving it on the fucking dirt. Okay. Okay. So one thing to be cautious about when it comes to tube cigars like this is occasionally when they put the actual cap on, you can kind of see the foot gets a little screwed up. Not the end of the world, but not the ideal situation either. Ooh, that's a lovely aroma coming out of there. Nice, clean tobacco. Gonna get this cut. Yeah, self-contained environment, so everything ends up being focused on the cigar. Thank you. Phone, cooperate. There we go. Nice little self-contained environment, so you don't really have to worry about being excessively careful with storage. Oh, come on now. Every so often people wonder why I go back to a Zippo. They work. Well, in case you haven't noticed, this is a little long. Initial flavors right off the bat, though. Well, mostly almost a cinnamony spice, kind of cinnamon cardamom kind of thing going. Clean tobacco, a little earthy, something subtly sweet. There's a couple things going on in here. Wow, that's actually quite a bit going on. I can't really put my finger on any one specific flavor that jumps out at me. Well, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and smoke this down to the first inch and see if something stands out a little bit more. So far, though, excellent start. Right, so far, about an inch in. This is definitely doing a very good job of reminding me of a molasses cookie. As in, it's kind of got that slightly bitter, kind of minerally, earthy, sweet note to it that we typically find with something flavored with molasses. And if you don't know, molasses is a sugar byproduct that ends up being sweet but also bitter at the same time. Ends up making for a very good cookie. And that's kind of what this is reminding me of. So I think the size of this is actually what's called a Presidente instead of a Churchill. It's about an inch longer. But hopefully, that'll mean that much longer time enjoying something very, very nice. And so far it's turning out rather nice. Well, I'm trying to wrap this up because there's somebody walking down the tunnel and I kind of don't like any random people in my shot. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this a little short here, get back to the halfway point, and kind of update whether or not flavors develop, intensify, or just do whatever. Alright, see you halfway. Okay, so not really a proper update, but for some reason, the ash just decided to flop about an inch or so in. I'm hoping that means that it's basically just because of the fact that I was kind of jostling it a little too much and there was a bit of a breeze that kicked up. Because so far, I mean, the Gurkhas are known for having excellent construction. Anybody that watches my channel a lot knows that ash is kind of one of those things that I use to determine the overall construction quality. If it can withstand having roughly half the cigar being physically, structurally weakened by being burnt to the point where about half of it hangs out before just falling off. God, those are some tweety ass birds. Now, if it can withstand being half burnt and still stay on, the whole long ash competition thing, that's how you know you got a very well constructed cigar. Now, I've never really known Gurkhas to be of poor construction, so I'm not entirely sure why the ashes decided to flop off like this, but every so often you find one that does that. And yeah, I'm gonna have to cut this little update short and get back to the actual halfway point. And maybe spook the shit out of these birds, because my god, that tweet. Alright, I'll get back to you at the actual proper halfway point. Alright, so this makes for a pretty good halfway point. I'm thinking that the reason why the ash is flaking off like every couple of inches is because it's kind of a flowery ash, as in it kind of peels off into little petals. I don't know if it's done that. I don't know if they do that intentionally. If you do, that's a little bit of skill right there. Or if it just kind of happens. Overall, flavor-wise, though, this is definitely one of those cigars that kind of builds in profile as you smoke it, and it's definitely reminding me of a molasses cookie. It's got the kind of yeasty, bready note, a little earthiness, and a very strong kind of molasses sweetness. Like I said, it reminds me of a molasses cookie. If you ever had a molasses cookie, go out, get you a molasses cookie. Guaranteed, it's gonna be good stuff. But otherwise, pretty consistent throughout so far. It just kind of keeps building the more you smoke it. I've also had to do a couple of touch-ups here and there. I don't know if that's due to my light or if it's just kind of a little bit of an oddity in the cigar. Yeah, every so often that happens. It'll kind of get a little not quite as even as it should. Overall, though, it hasn't been burning too bad. I think I found just the right spot where I can kind of drown out most of the obnoxious fucking birds. Truth be told, if I had like a 410 bore or 22 or something like that, and like a small game bird license, I would probably be rendering this little sandpiper species like damn near extinct, because my god, they are obnoxious. Anyway, minor gripe. So far, cigars are going pretty good. Like I said, consistent molasses cookie. Kind of a flowery, perfumey note in the retrohale. A little bit of a breadiness. Definitely good coffee cigar. I don't know if I'd necessarily pair this with a whiskey or anything. I suppose you can get away with a good bourbon. Maybe. I would definitely recommend coffee before anything like that. Well, anyway, I'm going to smoke this down to the finger burning point and see if anything changes from there. Okay, nice little gust of wind just decided to come up during the last part of this. Where that came from, I don't know. Anyway, so you can still hear me. Flavors have been pretty consistent throughout. It's kind of getting to the point where most of that flavor is getting just hot and washed out. I was kind of thinking, I was getting kind of annoyed with cigars that do that, just stay consistent all the way through. It makes for kind of a boring review, because it just kind of tastes the same the whole way through. That's not necessarily a bad thing, it's not necessarily a good thing. It's just a thing, Some cigars have good flavor transitions and will actually change halfway through. I like it when they do that. That said, this one kind of is just consistent. Now, if you're just looking to kick back and relax and, not put too much thought into what you're smoking, just enjoy it. Right up your alley. Construction seems pretty good. I'm thinking that the reason why the ash falls off every couple of inches is because of the fact that it starts to flower and flake. So be sure to have an ashtray or be somewhere where you don't mind ash just occasionally falling off. Especially if you're wearing something you don't mind getting ash on. Anyway, That's pretty much it for this particular review. You know, I mean, I can definitely recommend kicking back on a holiday, because these are kind of special edition, and they can be a little expensive if you actually get a whole box of them. They do come in glass tubes, so that does kind of ramp up the price. But the cool thing about those is you don't actually have to be too concerned about storage. They kind of come in their own self-contained environment, so they're just kind of ready to go whenever you pick them up. Just pop the seal and there you go. Nice little bit of convenience there. But other than that, good flavors of kind of a slight bready cookie kind of quality to it, with this kind of sweet, earthy molasses tone. It's like I keep saying, it reminds me very much of a molasses cookie. Complete with wind breeze and birds. Well, anyway, I don't really have much else to say about this, other than if you can get a hold of them on the cheap, which is what I did. I got them as a kind of freebie. Definitely worth it. If you can find a 5-pack, you probably want to throw a couple of bucks at them if you're a Gurkha fan. I hope most of that was audible, because there was a nice big gust of wind that decided to pop up, and I know I was playing hold the mic. Well, anyway, not much else to say about this. Good cigar, possibly a little on the expensive side, so be careful about that. But other than that, I definitely recommend them. Anywho, if you like this review or any other review, like, subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know if you had a different experience, and if you have a different thought. Also check out my Twitch channel, Sundays and Wednesday nights, midnight to 2 a.m. If you can't get the live broadcast, it's usually for like about a week or so afterwards. And that's pretty